Alright, I thought I'd make a quick little video regarding Dan Lok's common mistakes in a street fight. Now, Dan Lok, I believe, was taught by some of Bruce Lee's students, one of them being Joe Louis, which I think used to be a boxer. But anyways, I was talking about the three common mistakes in a street fight. So I'm not gonna go through his whole video. You can go watch it yourself. But I come from a bit of a background in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and here's one of the interesting things. The more martial arts you know, the less chance of you getting into a fight. I know that sounds kind of weird. Some people think, well, I need to get into martial arts to protect yourself, but I got into more fights before martial arts than after. Why is this? Is it because I have some kind of ninja awareness that I can block any punch? If somebody comes in, I can analyze the situation, and when they go to punch, I already have 3 or 4 things ready to rock and roll? Nope, it's not that. I think, this is my theory, and maybe this will demystify the whole how to win every street fight possible. If you are in a situation, a scenario where your chances are higher that you're going to get into a scrap, chances are there are going to be people that are equal to you or better, maybe inferior in skill, but there's a group of people that want to scrap. I was asked last night by my son-in-law, do you think there's more fights at UFC fights or a soccer game? I would say there are more fights at a soccer game because there are less martial artists at a soccer game. There are people that just want to enjoy their team win, and if their team loses, they start riling each other up. There's no discipline, and they start doing cheap shots, and then before you know it, there's a riot. Obviously, it doesn't happen at every soccer game. But people are going there to pick fights. A lot of people are going to watch the UFC fights. A lot of guys are probably into martial arts, or they have friends that are into martial arts, and they want to go to enjoy their time. Plus, the seats are really, really expensive, so if you start to do crazy stuff, you're going to get ejected pretty good. And think about it. The guys in the ring are all trained killers, and then the security has to be pretty good as well. So if anybody steps out of line, they're watching all this stuff. So I would predict less fights at a UFC fight. So the whole street fighting thing is, yes, you have to be aware, but the whole shortening the distance, and if somebody invades that distance and closes that space, you go for the throat, you do the eye gouge, you get him in the balls, kick him in the nuts, take him down, pull his hair, whatever it is, just because he closed the gap. I'm sorry, but you're going to get charged. You're going to get charged, especially in North America. Now, maybe in Asia or in other countries in Europe, if you're walking in a dark alley, again, if you're going into scenarios where the risk is higher, chances are you're going to get into a bit of a scuffle. It's probably why you need some martial arts. But in North America, it's very rare that somebody's going to come into your space and do all this. And if it does happen, you have to be able to communicate in a way to de-escalate that. You don't have to get into a scrap. You have to be comfortable with yourself. Even if somebody were to push me, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to punch the guy in the throat and gouge out his eyes and put him in a hospital permanently just because he invaded your space. If you're comfortable in jiu-jitsu with being choked out, being put in arm bars, all this kind of stuff. It actually allows you to have a little bit more awareness. So if somebody pushes you, yeah, you can back up and stuff, but you're aware that there is a scenario going on, that maybe he has friends, whatever it is, depends. Chances are it's not going to be a guy knifing you and all this kind of stuff. Just statistically, it does happen. But just because, you know, again, depending where you're at, that is so important. If you're in a grocery store lineup, or maybe maybe it's Black Friday and you're pushing and jostling to try and get the latest Xbox machine or something like that, it's going to be jostling and stuff. And just because somebody pushes you doesn't mean it's a death sentence. It doesn't. And that's the thing with some of these martial arts videos. They do the quick stuff, and that's not realistic. You watch in a UFC fight, usually what happens if one guy is being dominated by punches, and some of these guys can take a lot of punches. There are just going to be some people out in the world that can take a lot of hits. So you punch the guy in the head, you break your hand, you're screwed. There are a lot of people that know types of martial arts, maybe wrestling background or whatever it is. They're going to shoot in and take you down. So the one thing that Dan said is you want to be able to get home. So no matter what, because you don't know the scenario, I think realistically what you should be able to do is keep that distance, protect yourself at all costs. If you end up going to the ground, like if I get into a wrestling match with somebody, I might do a hip toss, shoot in, pick up the guy with a double leg, throw him down, and put my knee on the stomach because I don't want to get my knees dirty. I'll put all my weight on the guy and let him bear my weight until he rethinks his life over. That doesn't happen all the time, but you have to be aware that you don't have to do the death punch to the throat because you're going to get charged, you're going to end up going to court. There's video surveillance everywhere. So that's why some of these martial arts videos about street fights aren't always accurate. I think what is more accurate is being aware of where you're at. And statistically, you can figure out where do most fights take place. Usually where there's intoxication involved. A lot of drinking. Bars, that kind of stuff. And then you walk outside. You don't know if somebody's waiting because you looked at someone's girl, whatever it is. Somebody's jealous. You don't know. So those scenarios, I don't go to the bars. Brings the chances down statistically that you're going to get into a fight. If you continually go into scenarios, raves, clubs, all this kind of stuff, and you're in an environment that's uncontrolled and you can't be as aware because there's so much going on, statistically, that's where trouble happens. But if you're just walking down the street and you're aware and you're jogging, whatever it is, you're a little bit more aware. Hopefully you're not just listening to music and looking at your phone. I think that is the biggest danger right there, is going onto a train and looking on your phone at a bus stop, whatever it is. Just when you're going for a walk, just be aware. There could be potholes, there could be anything. And just be aware if you see 2-3 guys standing against the wall, you have to be aware. You don't have to walk across the street, but just be aware. That's all it is. So that's one thing that I liked about the video, is trying to increase your awareness. Closing the gap real quick and all this stuff, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. It works when you've practiced thousands and thousands of times in a tournament scenario, but in real life it doesn't happen like that. There's no chance of you going, okay, I need to close this distance and get a couple of punches, because it doesn't work. It doesn't work to get one punch and then prepare, okay, I'm going to have a block, I'm going to have a kick, he's going to now kick me to the junk, I'm blocking that. That's not how it works. It's unpredictable. So the only way to win a street fight is to minimize those scenarios where it's out of your control. So hopefully that helps. I'm not a street fighter. I'm a lover, not a fighter. But sometimes some of these street fight videos get a little bit crazy. And realistically, you just have to sit back and go, okay, what is a realistic scenario? So I hope that helps. See you in another video. Bye for now.